So late in the midnight hour, Republicans passed in a single vote the big beautiful bill.
Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Trump's one big beautiful bill. Yes, the beautiful bill was passed early morning, and people are going to be talking about their feelings, thoughts, and opinions about it, and they're going to be explaining to you exactly what the bill entails and how it's going to affect people.
But ironically, it's saving taxes for the uber wealthy. So millions of Americans no longer be eligible for any type of health care. Millions of Americans no longer will be eligible for any SNAP benefits. Over $200 billion in cuts to SNAP benefits, over $600 billion in cuts to Medicaid and health care.
This morning, they passed a bill that will cut millions in SNAP benefits and in Medicaid benefits. So if you're on Medicaid, you can actually lose your benefits. It could be a paperwork issue, or it can be just the fact that you didn't log in enough hours at work this week. So which means if the economy goes down and bosses have to let go of their employees, you not only lose your job, but you lose your Medicaid coverage. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, how is it constitutional to feed some and heal some? I don't know. But what I do know is this is systematic cruelty disguised as a policy. Some big beautiful bill. This is Lady Queen, Black with News. Bye.
Oh, if they take Medicaid, if they cut SNAP, those people who don't want to work have to work. No, I don't think you're looking at the deeper picture. Nurses, doctors, CNAs, LPNs, all of them gonna lose their jobs too. How, you may say? Well, if they cut all those billions of dollars in Medicaid, most of the people in hospital depend on Medicaid. Most of the people in nursing homes depend on Medicaid, which where RNs and doctors and nurses work. So if all of them die, who's going to fund the hospitals and the nursing homes? So that means that everybody else loses their jobs too. So I don't think y'all really thinking this out clearly. So all them Senates who got RN doctors, RN daughters and all that, when they start losing their job, and then, oh my gosh, God forbid they lose their job and they can't take care of their kid, they can't pay their house mortgage, what will they ever do? What will they do? Oh no. When their grandma die. Oh no. When their third cousin die, and then they got to go to the funeral and they say, what did Mary Lou die from? And then they say, because Mary Lou was on Medicaid and you guys cut the Medicaid and Mary Lou died, and then what? Oh, my bad.
This new bill that was not just signed, it was actually passed. And this new bill that I thought that was going to benefit Americans, I did not know when I did a TikTok video earlier that this new bill is going to potentially save $1 trillion by cutting Medicaid, food stamps, SNAP benefits when it comes to housing authority, medical benefits for millions of people, man. And just when I thought that this was going to be a good bill that was signed and approved, but this looks like a bill that was signed that's actually going to hurt Americans even more. You know how many people depend on these benefits? Medicaid, just for basic doctor appointments, basic hospital visits, for not just the kids, but for the parents as well, are elderly people. To cut Social Security benefits to people who's worked a whole entire life. The person that got hurt while they were 25 years old, that could not work again, who had to actually get on disability, Social Security, SSI, to get some type of benefit so they can continue to live on because they're no longer able to work. And now you're telling me that those benefits cut? What about the parents who depend on food stamps to be able to provide for their children, that's not in a position where they can get out and find jobs right now? Daycare, no matter if they find a job or not, just the cost of daycare alone for 4 or 5 kids is going to cost 10 times more. To cut the food stamps as high as food is going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating for the economy. Just the fact that a lot of people can't even afford medical insurance. And to pass a bill that could potentially cut Medicaid, Social Security, and just when I thought that we were on our way out of a recession, with there being some type of terms coming together with the tariffs, It looks like we're going right into a recession.
Last night while we were sleeping, the House went ahead and passed that budget bill. The House passed that bill while we were sleeping last night. What's going to be affected ain't Medicaid, Medicare, as well as SNAP benefits. No, it may not affect you directly, but what about your parents, your grandparents, your children? Thousands, millions of people, y'all, are going to be affected by these cuts. $200 billion will be cut from the SNAP program. $600 billion will be cut from Medicaid. Medicare, the number is still being tossed around how much will be cut from that program. Come on, man. So many people rely on these programs, y'all. Think about a child who only gets fed most of the time at school as it is because their mama receives SNAP benefits and it's not enough. Now imagine them cutting it even more. Children are going to starve, y'all. A lot of children may starve. Think about your grandparents that only have a certain amount of money that they receive from like Social Security or a 401k plan or something like that. So they rely a whole lot for their medicine and doctor visits and surgeries and everything else to come from Medicare. And they're going to go into that money on them as well. Think about all the children who are on Medicaid. My children included receive Medicaid. What type of cuts are they going to take from Medicaid? Is the amount of times they can go to the doctor going to be cut? How many prescriptions? They already had started to do that. What's going to happen? What will these cuts affect, y'all?
They cut Medicaid and Medicare. This is what I'm really trying to help y'all to understand. 70% of Medicaid and Medicare is covered by the federal government. First of all, in order for states to be able to cover the gap, if they send Medicaid and Medicare coverage back to the states, we'd have to stop giving our federal taxes. Every state would have to hold some of that federal tax to be able to make up for the gap of the 70% they're supposed to be covering. Here's the point though. Medicaid and Medicare getting cut is not going to just impact the people who are receiving it. All of us, me included, who has private healthcare insurance through my job, all of us are in trouble because their healthcare system's expenditure is being supported by Medicaid and Medicare. Organizations all over the nation are going to have to close without being able to bill for Medicaid and Medicare patients, meaning those of us who have private insurance will have less access to care. There will be less professionals. More healthcare professionals will be laid off. More acute hospitals will close. And if you know anything about the healthcare system, there's already a huge barrier in access of care for those who are low income and live in rural areas. Funny enough, mostly Trump supporters. So even if you have private health care, it won't matter because the next doctor's appointment is going to be 8 months from now. God forbid you have a medical emergency and you need to go to a hospital, may not be open. All of the projects that were already currently being worked on will most likely be halted. Our mental health care system is going to collapse immediately.
I was just sitting here wide awake because, of course, that's what you do in the middle of the night when you can't sleep, is you sit here and you have those conversations with yourself and you read through the comments. And I've seen several comments in the Medicare post that I did that people say, well, I pay into Medicare and I don't even get an opportunity to use it. But everybody gets to use SNAP and everybody gets to use housing and Section 8 and they get to use Medicaid and all of that. How come I can't use it? Well, did you ever stop to think, instead of blaming those people, we don't know these people, first of all. And so when we are talking about the questions that you are asking, did you ever stop to ask the major corporations that most of these people are probably getting up and going to work for every single day, why they're not paying a livable wage? Why are major multi-billion-dollar corporations having people work for 38? So it's not considered full-time. So they don't have to pay them benefits. Okay. We're asking the wrong questions. See, therein lies where the issue is. We keep blaming the people for getting up and going to work every single day, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, to pay rent on a place that literally you have to work that many hours in order to afford it, because most places are not going to rent to you unless, of course, you're making 3 times whatever the rent is. God forbid if you have a mortgage and you're blessed to have one at the same time. But let's say, for instance, that the escrow on your house or the taxes on your house are higher this year than they were last year. And then it changes the rate on your mortgage because the taxes went up, or, whatever, something insane. I'm just tossing out stuff, right? But here's what we continue to miss. We keep missing the fact that people that are on these programs are not laying up eating bonbons like the Reagan administration would have had you all to believe. And America bought it all the way to the bank. They believed that there was such a thing as a true welfare queen. People bought it. And then they pointed the fingers at the hardworking people that needed money for food because they needed whatever they were earning at somebody's multi-billion-dollar corporation on that job. They needed that money to pay the bills, to pay the rent. And there may not be enough for food. There may not be enough for clothing or shoes or coats or daily essentials that are necessary, like soap.
Now, mind you, you may be wondering, where is the money going that he's cutting from this? Well, it's going towards immigration. It's going towards defense budgets. You might not have no food in your fridge, but we got to keep ice around.
A lot of these cuts will affect many people. It's sad and unfortunate that all of this is happening. Thanks for watching this video. Have an amazing day.